Welcome to the Spunky Spirit Podcast. I'm your host, psychic medium Carrie Muggs. This is where we learn all things spirit, everything from spiritual gifts, awakenings, ghosts, aliens, and starseeds. Nothing is untouchable, but always fun and spunky. I am honored to be on this spiritual journey with you, so make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Spunky Spirits Podcast. I am Carrie Muggs. I am a psychic medium. I've been doing it for a really long time, over about 15 years. So I'm going to be honest, this week I haven't really planned a topic. It's been a crazy week. It's Christmas weekend as I'm recording right now, and also, too, I have been kind of fighting a migraine this week, and I never get them anymore. I used to get them all the time, especially when I was trying to hide my gift, or I was trying to stop it from happening, and now I don't hardly get them. And for some reason this week I got them. So I don't know if it's hormonal or if it's, nothing is impossible when you start going through the menopause thing. So sorry if that's, but it's too much TMI, but you know what? It is what it is. And I like to be totally transparent with you guys. So I decided that this week I'm going to kind of talk about what the difference between a spirit and a soul is, and the different types of spirits. So it's going to be all off the cuff. I don't have any notes. It's just going to be from my own experience and from what I've seen when spirits come through. So what I want you to do is take what resonates with you and what doesn't, and just take what resonates with you and keep that and see what is your truth for your journey. So now, spirit versus the soul. Now, spirit with a capital S is, you'll always hear me say spirit when I talk to spirit, or spirit loves you, or spirit, I love connecting to spirit. Spirit with a capital S is the same thing as the universe, or God, or source, or the one. So the great spirit, the spirit, that's kind of what spirit with a capital S is. It's just kind of the universal truth, universal vortex, universal knowledge. Spirit with a lowercase s are spirits, spirits that have passed on, spirits that are in a different realm or a higher frequency or a different dimension. Your loved ones are in spirit because they don't have a body. Now, ghosts and spirits are kind of different for me. I've never had, a lot of people use them in the same context, and that's fine. Ghost can be, when you go into old houses and you see an old energy or an old spirit there. Some people call them a ghost, and that's totally fine too. But sometimes when you do go to old houses and you pick up energies like that, sometimes it's really not. It's not theirs. This is hard to explain. This is why I never did this podcast, because it gets pretty deep. So just try and follow along. I'll try and explain it in terms that are easy to understand. Because a ghost can be different than a spirit in some way, because ghosts tend to have a scarier energy about them, or people think of them as scarier. And really, they're really not. They're the same thing as a spirit. To me, they're just spirits. They're not really ghosts. Old, haunted houses, those are just spirits and I also do not know if I believe in the not crossing over thing. I kind of feel like everybody's crossed over. I don't feel like there's anybody kind of stuck on earth or in between. I've never had that experience. Now, I've had spirits still be earthbound a little bit when they stick around before they go through their life review, but I still don't feel like they're stuck. When I say they're earthbound, I just feel like their spirits are still just sticking around a little bit until they go through their life review. They're just at a little lower frequency enough that we can feel them a lot. That's why we feel them a lot when they first pass over. And then when they go do their life review, I feel like their frequency raises a little bit more. Now, that could be totally off. That's just kind of what I've understood it to be. I've never really encountered a spirit that's stuck in between realms. I've never, I know other mediums have, and other mediums don't believe in it. I've never experienced. That's why I want to tell you I've never experienced it. Because I've always just, when I've done readings, I've never had a spirit say I'm stuck, or I'm earthbound, or I'm stuck here. So I've never had a spirit that I've seen, other spirits in like old houses or old places. But a lot of times that can just be an imprint of energy. So let's say, like there's a first lady in the White House that always used to hang the laundry. And every day she'd go out and hang the laundry. Well, some people still say that they can see her ghosts. They can see her still hanging up laundry. Now, I don't think she's stuck in spirit hanging laundry every day. I think that because she did it so often and because she did it every day for a long time, that energy is imprinted there and people can still see that energy. So, but I don't feel like it's actually her, unless her spirit wants to reminisce and go and hang up laundry once in a while. That's where I don't know. And that's why I want to be completely honest with you. It could be an energy imprint, or it could be that she wants to reminisce some of those days and her spirit goes there and hangs up laundry once in a while and people see it. So, to each his own. That could be it. That could be just as much as the truth too. So ghosts and spirit are kind of the same thing. I just don't want you to get, ghosts just seem to have a scarier energy. I mean, when people say ghosts, they automatically think of haunted or paranormal or things like that. And in reality, we're all just spirits when we pass over. We're all just spirits. So now the difference between a soul and a spirit. Now this is, I kind of want you to, the easiest way to explain this is to kind of maybe give you a visual. Okay. So our soul is, let's say a piece of coral. Okay, so this base thing is our soul. Our soul is eternal, forever, and so are our spirits. But our soul is just the piece of coral. Okay, so we have this piece of coral, and in coral shoots up different little pieces of itself. So I kind of like one piece of coral will shoot up different pieces of itself, and they will grow. And they will kind of have their own experience, but they're still attached to the coral. So our soul is an energy, a light source, a frequency that can create all these little shootouts of different types of coral or these different things. And I call those our spirit. Okay. So we can create different types of us or different, so I feel bad because this is kind of hard to explain, but we can create different little spirits of ourselves. This is why people think, and this is why we have other lives or past lives, because our soul creates all these other spirits or lives, and we are one of them. So that's, our soul is actually our higher self, our source, not like our source God, because there is a creator. There is a creator that creates all things, but our higher selves. And sometimes some people think that our soul or our higher self is our main guide. Now, I have never had a spirit actually tell me that. I've just kind of seen, I actually kind of had them in a meditation, that some main guides can be some people's souls or your higher self. So that was maybe in a different life or a past life. And that's another thing too, why past lives are so hard, because we see them as past, present, and future. Like in the past, in 1950, I was this, or I was this. But our soul, Earth is linear time. Earth is past, present, future. Our soul is kind of experiencing all these at the same time. And that's kind of a deeper, I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but that's just what I've been told. So, and that's okay if it's too much for you to, because at first it was too much for me too, and sometimes it just doesn't matter. All that matters is, honestly, this life right now, in the present time. That's all that really matters. So that's why I don't spend too much time, and you've heard me say this before, in trying to figure out past lives. I mean, it's fun and it's cool, but I don't try and process or heal trying to figure out past lives. I mean, sometimes you can figure out that the reason why you like are so worried about having food in your kitchen all the time is because in another life you didn't, and you were poor and you starved to death. So those type of things can help. But honestly, what I want you to know right now is what really matters to spirit is, and the most important thing is right now, in the now. So this life that you're in, to create joy and to figure out who you are. Because when you go back, or when you pass over and you are part of your soul again, then your soul is kind of like, okay, what did you experience? What did you learn? And your soul learns all of this stuff from all these little shoots of coral that it sent out, right? So that's kind of what the difference between the soul. So when I do readings and let's say my dad comes through, that his spirit of Bill Bingham always exists. Always, always, always. Now his soul experienced lots of different spirits, or lots of different experiences, lots of different lifetimes. But his spirit of Bill Bingham still exists because it's a part of his soul. So that's why some people are like, okay, when you do your readings, what if they've already reincarnated? Well, Bill Bingham will never reincarnate again. Bill Bingham's spirit will always exist. Now his soul will maybe create another spirit, or another that's maybe called Chad in the 1950s, right? So Bill Bingham will always be the spirit known as Bill Bingham of this time, but he's connected to a deeper part of himself, which is his soul. And his soul might have a completely different name or a completely different, but he's part of that soul. And he's just sending part of his light or part of his energy to experience what he did on earth now. And his spirit was known as Bill Bingham. So I know that's so deep, and I know that's but once you kind of take a deep breath and kind of, let it sink in, and you take what you believe of that. You don't have to believe that. You don't have to. You can still stay with the simple belief that we are the one person, and because we are one person, one spirit, and we never reincarnate, you can stay with that, because that is what you believe, and that is your truth. And honestly, right now, all that really matters is that you live in the now. And right now, your now is your life, the name you have right now, and the experiences you have right now. And that's all at the end of the day that really matters. The cool thing is, though, is that you can kind of learn how to create anything. So today, and that's kind of what the whole main part of this lifetime is to find joy, figure out who you are, and realize that you can kind of you can make this life whatever you want. I mean, it's a stretch, but today you might go to work 9 to 5, do what you want to, but honestly, you really have the power to completely change your whole life tomorrow. You could just get your credit cards, take off and run, and not look back. Not that you would do that, but you can. And that's the thing, is if you want to change your life, you can. Maybe not in a day, but you can do it. And if you put it out there and you put out what you do want, you can create that. Now, sometimes people get overwhelmed with trying to create what they do want because they don't know what they want. So sometimes you have to eliminate by deciding what you don't want. And you can try different things. And if you're like, okay, I don't want that, then you can create what you do want. And we'll probably talk about that more next week when we talk about goals and talk about creating and manifesting for the new year. So now I have only read the first part of this book by Bob Olson. There's a book by Bob Olson. I think it's called, oh my gosh, I can't remember what it's called. He was an investigator, a private investigator, and he has gone to lots of mediums. His name is Bob Olson, and I think it's what the afterlife. I know it has the word afterlife in it, but he talks about what the afterlife is like on the other side. And so I think if you just Google that part with Bob Olson, you'll be able to pick it up. I gave the book to my daughter, so I don't know what the title is, but I think I did put it in my Facebook group, the Spunky Tribe, which I will also put a link to in the show notes of this. And you can go find that book. It should be posted in there. And he kind of explains this soul thing too. So the soul creates the spirit. Okay. And so your spirit, it's like it houses a body. So let's say your body today goes in and gets in your car and you control it and you go for a drive. That's what your spirit's doing to your body. Your spirit is controlling your body. It's like you putting a glove on. So your hand is the spirit and the glove is the body. So just kind of think of your body as a car, as a vehicle that you're using on this earth to get around in and navigate with. And that's why you got to take care of it. Just like you got to take care of your car. You know, you got to get the right gas. You got to make sure you get oil changes. You got to do these things to it to make sure it runs properly. And so that's what your spirit does. Your spirit houses this body in this lifetime. Now, just like your body has organs and things inside of it, your spirit has chakras and energy placements, the pineal gland. Now, the brain and the pineal gland is the connection to your soul. It's connection to your body, soul, and spirit. So that's why we only use so much of our brain function, is because a lot of it's spiritual. So when you do like a math problem, you're using your brain. When you're in the shower or you're meditating and your soul is sending you signals or your intuition, you're using your mind. That's the difference, because those ideas and those intuitive things are outside of your body. It's part of your spirit, and your spirit and your mind can pick that up. I hope that makes sense. So now that's why it's so important to have your spirit and your body connect, because it helps you connect to your soul, or it helps to connect to your intuition. And that's why that's why some people get freaked out, because they start to raise their frequency and they start to feel their soul or their higher self, or or they start to feel that frequency of their higher self. So sometimes your guides are guiding you, but sometimes it's your soul. It's your soul that deep down, when people are like, deep down, what do you really want? Your lifetime or your spirit doesn't sometimes really know. So you go try and dig deeper, and you're digging deep into your soul. And so your personality takes a lot of, because you have to remember the core of you is your soul. The core of you, the core of all those little coral shoots. You know, the coral creates all these little shoots and all these little individual pieces. The core of those little pieces, though, go back to the base of the coral that created all that. And so that's where you go back to, is your soul. That's the base. So all of these, your soul created all these other lifetimes or all these other spirits that you can connect to or that you can see. But you for the most part, deep down, are who your soul wants you, or who your soul is. And so that's kind of a general synopsis of soul versus spirit and then your body, and how it all kind of works. So my favorite, now when I do readings, I will talk to the spirit that was that person. And that's who I talk to. So when I go to readings and my dad comes through, the spirit that was Bill Bingham will come through. Now, when I meditate or when I do past life regressions, I might see my father in a different like in a different role in my lifetime, in a different lifetime, and his spirit, that maybe his spirit played some guy named Chad, and I will see that spirit, and I hope that makes sense. That's why sometimes when very, very, very seldom happens, but when lots of people have had experiences that they have seen spirits of somebody who are actually still alive. And I think maybe I've had that happen one time. And it's probably because, and I remember I didn't understand it. And so I didn't really talk about it that much. And I'm pretty sure it's probably because I saw a past life or a different spirit of that soul that looked the same. So, and to be honest, I'm not really sure. Not really sure why I saw it, because I wasn't really told, or I don't like to interpret or, say things that I'm not really sure of, and because I don't want to confuse anybody or tell anybody wrong. But it can happen. It has happened before. So now I hope that helps you understand the difference between spirits and ghosts and souls and things like that. So I know this one wasn't very long. Again, I wasn't very prepared for this one. I kind of felt like it was random too, but it's because it's a hard subject to explain, and it's kind of not something that's taught mainstream. Like, I never even understood this part of soul spirit. I was always taught, we come here, we live our lives, we pass on, we go to heaven, and then we live forever in heaven. And we, and that could be, our spirit lives in a different frequency, but our spirit's connected to our soul, and our soul lives on for eternity. Now, and we can have different spirits, not just on earth. Our soul can create different spirits in other dimensions and other realms too. So it gets kind of confusing and it gets kind of deep. But what my main thing is I just wanted to explain that, because I know that there's a lot of people out there that don't really buy the whole heaven thing. You pass over and you go to heaven and live there happily ever after forever. And and you do. I mean, it's still kind of like that. It's still kind of that theory, but your soul is always growing, and your soul is always experiencing, and your soul is still, it can create other lives and other opportunities. And it's kind of cool to know that you're never ending. Like, you can continue to go. And I just remember when I taught a Sunday school class one time, and the little girl was like, and it was taught that we just go over to the other side and we live forever. And she's like, what do we do forever? It sounds like it's so boring. Like, what do you do forever? What do we do? And I just thought, I don't know. Like, what do I even tell her? And now it's kind of cool, because now it's kind of, that we keep going. We keep experiencing. We keep staying with our same soul family, and we keep growing and experiencing and raising our frequency, and all the while being with a source or a God that loves us unconditionally. So, and I just kind of wanted you to know too that, all of this is great. All of this theory and all of this, soul body thing, or going over to the other side, past lives, all of that is awesome. But I just don't want, because I have been known that when I first started going through my awakening, I kind of would like dig deep into this rabbit hole and go deep into this rabbit hole and keep learning, because I'm a learner. I love to learn, and I'd read tons of books, and it's all great. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is living in the now. And you don't want to spend, you do want to spend a lot of time learning about what's going on and creating yourself and raising your frequency and finding joy and figuring out who you are. But at the end of the day is this life. This life is what matters. The life you're in now, the one that you're creating right now. It's great, and it's fun to see all the other past lives, or to try and meditate and figure out who your higher self is. But honestly, your soul wants you to, just like when you're driving in a car, all that really matters is that you're behind the seat of the car right then and there, and you need to be paying attention to where you're going and what you're doing and what you're experiencing at the time. When you're driving, Sometimes, yes, you're worried about what you're going to make for dinner or what's going on, but really, you should be focused on the road and where you're going so you don't hurt anybody else or you don't hurt yourself. And so that's kind of what this life is. You need to be focused on this life and creating what you want for this life and experiencing things in this life and enjoying your family in this life. So my advice to you this week, especially since it's Christmas week, is be in the now, be in the moment, experience your family, experience the good and the bad. It doesn't always have to be, it's not all the time. It's not all rainbows and roses. What it is an experience. And we've just labeled it good and bad. So when you're in the experience this week, I want you to experience, just experience the love. And if there is some bad, try and figure out how to find some gratitude for it. Or, just sit in the experience and sit in this life and create. And if there is stuff that's going on in your life that you don't like, figure out how to change it. It's kind of like a game. It is kind of like, somebody's at the control or somebody's playing with the Nintendo Switch or the Nintendo and they're putting you on earth and you're going through life and having any experiences. It's just that your soul or your higher self is in control of the game. And it's like a Sims game or like the show Truman. It's kind of cool. And so when you realize that you can kind of control it or you can create it, and good and bad things are going to happen and you're going to experience it, it kind of lets you help make not things so serious sometimes and take things so serious and know that we are going to be together with the people that we have lost. We're going to go at the end of the day when we finish the game and we're going to be with them and we're going to talk about our experiences and what our lives were like together on this lifetime and on earth. So it's kind of a beautiful thing actually when you look at it. So I love you guys and I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, happy holidays. I hope that you get to experience and create a beautiful holiday this next couple days. So today, as I'm recording this, is called what my kids call Christmas Adam, because tomorrow is Christmas Eve and the next day is Christmas Day. So happy Christmas Adam, and I will see you guys next week.